When we created Saxo, the term startup wasn't invented. I'm the founder and CEO of Saxo.com, which originally was a retail platform for distributing books to end consumers. And now, over the last couple of years, we have moved into more platform position where we try to be the link between creators and experiences. That is, people who create content and people who consume content, whether it's literature or learning materials or whatever. My mother and my father, they had a bookshop which they established quite early. They were early 20s when they actually bought this, and so I grew up in a bookshop. But since as I told you, I thought that perhaps to be a bookseller in a traditional way was not the right career path for me. So I studied economics, and I went to was working in the oil industry for a number of years. I also been working in Bolivia for quite some time. But then, when my parents, they were in the late 50s, I think, they grew tired and they were a little sick, and they wanted to hand this bookshop over, and I tried to help them, but they couldn't get any money. And so, perhaps it was time to try to take this shop and try to, not because I wanted to be a bookseller in traditional way, but it was around year 2000, and I really was inspired by the e-commerce thoughts coming from United States, and I thought I can see an idea with this. And so I bought the shop and then tried to build an e-commerce shop, and now it is the largest retailer of books in Denmark. A lot of people, they talk about the digital versus physical as if it was like opposite things, and you have to choose between one or the other. But we have studied our customers carefully, and actually very few are consuming only digital, and some people are consuming physical only, but the majority actually is migrating between the formats. So when they are going on holiday, they might consume digitally because they don't want to carry around 17 books. On the other hand, they prefer perhaps reading physically when they are at the night table. So I think it's a crossover, and I think perhaps that the physical book is more resilient. That's also what we can see in the statistics actually than a lot of other digital products like music and film. I think that at least we will have the physical book in many years to go. And still what we have seen over just the last few years is that actually the digital sales have declined even in the United States, where it was quite a high share of the turnover, 30%. In Denmark it's only around 15%, but even in Denmark with a slower share, we have seen a decline in digital sales and increasing physical sales. So I'm quite sure it will be digitalized at some point of time, but I think it will take a lot of years until the physical book revenue is gone. And in a way, what we are seeing is that the digital development is not just about digital books. It's also actually development hitting the physical book, especially in the production and distribution area. Because what we see is that I foresee that print on demand in a few years' time will be the dominating way of producing books, because I think the production cost, even if you produce one single copy, will be lowered, and at some time it will be cheaper than storing the book and producing it in a high volume where you have to anticipate a certain demand. Actually, what we have done various tests in this field, and what we have seen that when we can cut off one day in delivery time, it shows that the conversion rate when purchasing is growing up with about 10%. So it means actually that by cutting a day in delivery time, you can increase the overall turnover by 10%, and that's a lot. And that's, a lot of the international actors are also very much engaged in, buying planes, and I don't know what. So actually, it's quite interesting that that if you can, let's say, have a more efficient delivery chain, and that's actually now we have a strong strategic work also on an innovative level with PostNord, who is the biggest distributor in Scandinavia, and talking with them on how to cut down delivery time. They are also very interested and see this coming, that, I mean, they need to be able to make same-day delivery. A few years back, I went to the United States and visited what you call the Singularity University, which is quite closely associated with Google, and it's out of NASA in San Francisco. And then, I mean, they have gathered some of the best brains, so to speak, in various industries. And basically what they say is that every industry where you have computerization or data in it, it will follow to some extent more slow. And that means that you will have increased the output at a reduced cost every certain number of months.
Like storage becomes cheaper.
Yeah, like computer, yeah, and solar power, you name it. And so you have this demonetization of things, right? And it means that that all industries, like the one that I am in, where you have digitalization of books, it will be affected. And what is happening here is actually that when you have this effect, then if you're not aware in the industry, and if you're not aware what is happening, then you will disrupt it. So you have to disrupt yourself if you want to stay in business. So you have to be in front of this, you know. And so in my area, where we've seen digital books is coming in, we need to be aware of that. Also the new models, that it's access versus ownership, and the community that people they share and they co-create to an increasing extent. All these trends we need to embed in our business models. If you have, let's say, the platform like Uber has, an Airbnb, if you have the app or the platform that can connect, in those cases, drivers with customers, in our case, writers with readers. If you have this platform and it's digitally scalable, then actually you can reach new markets it's of course it's an effort, and it would require a lot of money to do it. But we have made that platform more or less. Of course, it's constantly developing, but we have basics right, I think, and we've been working, testing it now for some years, you know, validating that how it works and automating processes, etc. So we think that it's a viable model, and we think it can be transported, especially as I talked about these new emerging economies, where you have like 2.5 billion new people coming out in these markets over the next 5 years, who will all be equipped with a cheap mobile phone, who will be able to read and have basic, I mean, it's now the economies are moving, so it's not just about shelter and food. There's also like other needs, educational needs, entertainment needs to be met. I think, and we would love to be part of that evolution. Also, you have the Google Loon projects, so people will have cheap and easy access to broadband, probably anywhere in the world. So you have a lot of, let's say, processes, also part of this overall framework that will mean that, I mean, we are going into another world of abundance, where you have clean water, you have plenty of electricity, and you have another world. I mean, there's a lot of problems associated with this. For instance, that people may be laid off of jobs because of artificial intelligence and robotics. But that in my mind, that could be the spur of a kind of cultural revolution, where people actually use this development for creative expression. No, of course. I mean, we need some partners, and of course there are global partners, not partners, but competitors like Amazon, who are doing extremely well and who certainly are targeted. But they also, I mean, we are primarily targeting the literature and the learning scene, and this. I mean, they are working with same-day delivery on foods and you name it, right? So I think that perhaps by focusing on this, I mean, trying to remove the pains and the friction in all these. Of course, Kindle, they have direct publishing, and they have. I mean, they are fantastic, and they are also a big data company with a lot of resources. Where we could put 2 men, they could put 1,700 men into building something, right? But anyway, I think the potential is so great or so big that there must be also a position free. There will be no one, like for instance in India, which I visited recently, they actually, Amazon is trying to have a very dominant position, but the government has said, I mean, it's okay that you have this distribution play, but you can only have 25%. So they will also need some partners or some collaboration things, you know, to run it.
Because the markets are basically protected by national laws.
In some of these markets, of course, like they don't want a situation like or they have the power in India to say we don't want to be in the same position like in the United States where Amazon is sitting on 90% of the market. When we created Saxo, the term startup wasn't invented, you know. So, I mean, I just thought that I would build this slowly. I had I had some cash in the bank, and I've never had funding. I had one time, JP Politiken, the biggest newspaper concern, they have 30% of the shares. They invested, and for that money, we have of course done some development of the platform and got a go-to-market strategy, primarily aimed at Danish market. But I mean, I'm not until recently been in this ball game that is all about, you know, trying to have a business angel and then a VC coming in, and I don't know what is best, because for me it has been a kind of life mission over the last couple of years, 20 years, you know, to work on this, and sometimes if you sell out on a very early phase. I mean, Jeff Bezos, he's not done that. He's still in control. But sometimes you just have to give away control and freedom and all of the other things that I like by being independent. But of course, now if we want to expand into the world in a larger scale, I will have to give away shares and for the greater purpose of the company.